Well, welcome to the Inside Australian Property Market Podcast. Yes, it's 2026 and we're back. Yep, Rob Elliott here from Lansdowne Property Group and
Rachel Elliott, LJ Hooker Lifestyle Group in Camden.
yes, one's selling, one's buying. That's just to confuse a few things. Not a lot is going to change this year, but we're going to talk a heap of property.
Yes.
We're going to talk a bit of footy,
Definitely.
a little bit of family, because they've all grown up.
Always.
Maybe the odd recipe, things that are going on. But most importantly, we're into a new year. It's 2026. The property market, it's a bit bipolar, some people are saying.
Oh, that's not the word I'd use.
What word would you use?
Unpredictable.
Unpredictable.
Yeah, I think it's unpredictable because it depends where you live, which pocket you are in Australia. We've always said in previous podcasts that there's not just one property market. Like in Sydney, there is multiple property markets and that's just one major capital city. So if you equate that across the country with Brisbane, Hobart, Adelaide, Perth, Darwin, Canberra, there is multiple property markets. So it depends where you are. Will depend on what actually is happening in your neck of the woods, in your property market.
So today we might just talk about, first and foremost, the Sydney property market, because we're based on the outskirts of Sydney. It had very good growth last year. Most of it was capital growth, return on yield, which is what we call yield when it comes to investment properties, is still sitting around the mid 3%, which isn't that good when it comes to normal borrowings. But if you're looking for return on investment, that is capital growth on your property, Sydney and Brisbane have been two of the best performers, and then Perth has come off a little bit in the last 12 months, but still very, very solid countries, very solid capital cities, you could call that.
Yeah, and the surprise has been Darwin.
Yeah, why do you say that?
Because it's just not somewhere that people would actually go, oh, I'm going to buy an investment property in Darwin.
And
it's growing.
it's growing. Yeah. Regional New South Wales has actually gone absolutely nuts.
Yes.
Mostly because of price point.
Yes.
Sub 850,000. So it's really pushed it up. And now with the first homeowners scheme in, that is inflating the bottom of the market everywhere. So it's pushing prices up and having an effect on everything above. So at the cheaper end of the market, your units and your townhouses that are anything, you can still get a unit in Sydney for under $500,000 and it is pushing the prices up and having an effect across the board. So it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out over the next 6 to 7 months.
But I also think that when you are a first-time investor, your budget is between that $500,000 to $800,000. So unless you want to buy a unit or a townhouse in Sydney, you have to look to the regionals.
You do.
And you have to look to Southeast Queensland or North Queensland. So you might be able to buy in a major city elsewhere in the country. Maybe not. But I think you are looking for regionals, and that's one of the reasons why it has actually pushed the price up in regionals. Like we went to Muswellbrook to have a look for a property for a client, and the prices since we bought there 18 months ago have gone up drastically.
Yeah, and we noticed a lot of the units and townhouses have gone up. And when we did our research in Tamworth, Armidale, and on the coast, same, they'd all gone up very similar. And they were mostly fueled by first-time investors.
Yes.
And they're not getting too bad a return. Most of them are on about 4.5% minimum gross yield, which is what you're really looking for with an investment. Rach, with what's happening in the Sydney market, where do you see the residential? Do you see it slowing down? Do you see it continuing to rise, or do you see like plateauing?
I think you'll see more serious buyers come out. Not that people aren't serious when they actually are buying, but it'll be the ones who are ready to sell to buy. I think it won't be, you're not going to get a flood of people through your open homes on the weekend unless you are in a tightly held area where it is the peak where they need to come out.
So you're saying lack of stock is fueling higher prices?
It is. People, like we've just had an interest rate rise, and if you do have a mortgage and you're looking to upsell or to downsell, like to downsize your house, you need to factor in what your selling costs are going to be plus what your mortgage is going to be. So there's a lot of factors in play that actually drives the property market. It's not just one particular thing. And you have to look at that actual, when I say the cost to sell your property, it's the commission you're going to pay to an agent such as myself, the marketing costs that you pay, and those marketing costs don't come to an agent. They're actually the marketing cost to market your property. Then if you go into staging, that's an extra cost, but oh boy, is it worth it? What's going to add value to your house if you stage it and stage it correctly.
I think actually we're going to talk about that in an upcoming podcast about the importance of our presentation. One of the biggest irks a lot of people come to me as a buyer's agent is when they look online and there's no price.
Yes.
Now that is just people saying to me, and I get a little bit flustered too when there's no price, because I then have to make a phone call to the agent to see what price he's quoting versus what, and I compare that to my valuation tool that isn't available to the public to see what he's saying versus what it's saying to see if they're inflated the price or it's a good buy or it's under. I hear that a lot of people are pushing very hard to have it mandatory to have a price on normal, not talking auctions, but talking normal sales. Do you get many of that when people come to your open homes asking about the price?
I've actually listed the price on my property.
You list your price on your properties?
I have actually listed the property, on the property that I'm selling at the moment. So, look, I understand the pros and cons for it, and it really comes down to the agent, and it comes down to how you're marketing the property, and also where your price point is on the property. So I do totally understand why some agents don't do it, and that's a discussion that they do have with their vendor. So it's not a decision that the agent makes alone.
It's like a case-by-case situation?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So there might be something down the track, there might be a house that, we don't particularly want to put a price point on it.
Yeah.
We know where the price point is sitting, what the vendor will and won't accept. You always know that when you first market the property, when the client signs the sales agreement. But it's sometimes it's a marketing tool. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And then it actually will give, if you do it for 2 weeks, it actually will give your vendor real-time feedback when people are coming through and they go, we think it's priced at this, or we wouldn't pay any more than this. So then you give all that feedback back and you give it to your vendor, and then you can have a realistic conversation on where the property is actually sitting in the market.
And what I like to tell people, if you're not using a buyer's agent and you're a little worried about the price and you see a property that looks exactly what you want, most of the internet platforms for property have the ability to look at sold properties. If the price of the property has been listed, the sold price will be on the internet. So you can actually look up within about a kilometre of the house you're looking at to see what similar homes have gone to. Now every home is different. Some have better features than others, some are sold in better condition than others. But it will give you always a good guide of where the property sits. So you're not going to see properties that are either out of your range or they're just not what you're looking for. So you can have a look around and see that. Most good agents, when you go and see them and you ask them what's the price point, they'll tell you the range that they've been instructed to by their vendor, and they'll help you along the line because they want to get the property sold. They want to get a good price for their client, and they want to make sure everyone's happy, not just the person, the vendor who's selling it, but also you, because they want to work pretty hard to make sure it's a good experience for everything. Investment properties, we're noticing that the price has pushed up on that. I've been speaking to other buyers agents, and I'll see if you agree with this, Rach, that in this 2026, people may be concentrating more on capital growth than yield because they're going to see, I'll take in, for example, Wagga. Wagga used to have 12 months ago very, very high yield. But the price of a home is driven up so much down there that the yield has dropped, but your capital growth is up.
Yeah.
So do you see that now being a little bit more of a focus for people?
I think, I think your capital growth always has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be one of the major. I think sometimes it's more important than the yield is on when you are looking for an investment property. And then again, it depends what market you're buying into as well.
Very true.
So it depends. Well, if you're buying into a city market, then you're going to get capital growth, but you're obviously going to get a lower yield because you're having to spend more money to buy an investment property here in Sydney. Whereas if you're looking in the regionals and other areas of Australia, those factors are completely different.
So we're going to wind up with one last question for you today, Rach. When someone's looking to sell their property and they've run 2 or 3 agents to come and present to them on how they'd market it and how they get. If a person really doesn't know what his property is worth or she doesn't know what a property is worth, what should they do before the agent comes in to give themselves a good idea of where they think their property sits on the market?
Just do a bit of research. Like if they're savvy with the computer, go onto realestate.com.au or go onto Domain And as you said, type in your suburb and then and you can actually use the filters. I've got a 4-bedroom, 2 bathrooms, 2-car garage, and the block is this size. And then just use your filters and then do a search. And then you'll get a, sort of an idea of where your house sits in the price range. Won't be exact because everybody's house is different. Sometimes their houses have not been maintained or they've been maintained to an absolute beautiful level.
Some of them are beautiful.
Really maintained. And when we talk about maintaining your property, it's not just the internal factors, it's actually the external factors, and that includes making sure like the garage door works properly, it's not unhinged, making sure the side gates are they've been looked after, your garden's been done, like your garage, the shed door has still got the latch on it. So these little small things that people sort of overlook, I'll get to that later, but that get to later never happens.
That's true.
So these are really important factors when you are looking to even get an agent out to have a look at your house. And look, the agents are experienced. They know what to look for when they're coming out to have a look and to appraise your home. And then when they sign with it, they'll say, well, this is what we think you need to do to prepare your home before we even go to market. And then one of the biggest things that you should always make sure your home is clean, and it is so worth the money to get a professional cleaner in to do a deep cleanse on your house, because they'll see things that you don't see because you live in the house all day, every day of the week.
And don't have the grandkids over the night before we open home.
No, definitely not.
So we're going to, one last question. Are you still following St George this year? And
Yes.
are they going to make the finals?
We'll see.
We'll see.
It's early days. It's only trial days.
It's only trial days.
It's only trial
I think
days.
they won on the weekend.
I'm not going to get too excited over a trial match, let me
But
tell you.
I don't think they were playing the under-19s from Newcastle or something.
Oh, whatever.
Well, that's going to wrap it
We'll
up today.
see.
We'll be back in another week with another podcast. You have a groovy week. I'm Rob Elliott from Lansdowne Property Group.
I'm Rachel LJ Hooker, Lifestyle Group in Camden.
Stay cool. Bye now.
Bye.